Hello folks, Reverend Crystal Cox. We're reading Quantum Big Fork today. Did you hear me? Quantum Big Fork. Okay. I have to explain that. So, in a lot of my videos I accidentally say Big Fork instead of Bigfoot. I was born in northwest Montana, Whitefish, Montana, and Big Fork is in that same county. I've heard it my whole life. I used to play, like our school was Eureka, we'd play Big Fork in sports, so it's on my mind. It's in my head. And every time, and more than the word Bigfoot. So when I say Bigfoot, quite often I say Big Fork. There's that. Okay, so in the description of this video will be Ron Moorhead, the author's recordings of the sounds that the Big Fork family made. I only listened to a little bit because they do something to me. So that's in the links, and then some other links to some information and interviews from him. Ron Moorhead again. It's last name spelled Morehead. He had a profound experience in the 70s or 80s or whatever. And the family of the Bigfoots were surrounding their camp and for days. So they kind of they got I was gonna say fingerprints. They got footprints. Anyway, I would like to shut up now. Alright, Quantum Bigfoot. Part whatever the heck we're at. Hello. And I invite Bigfoot here if you want to be here, okay? You are actually invited this time. Well, Okay, a cosmic war on Earth. Humans have guardian angels, and we would entertain them unaware. Hebrews 13:2. From the beginning, we're told in the scriptures who and what we are. In 1 Peter 2:9, we're told about our future as God's people. How arrogant of us if we belittle this truth and undermine our potential. I don't 100% believe in that because I believe that the Bible was changed, like the goddess was taken out, the matriarch was taken out. Plus, with the quantum effect of like the Mandela effect, hundreds of Bible scriptures have been supernaturally changed. So you have to discern in every moment what's true for you. Parts of the Bible may feel true to you. I'll just leave that at that. And in every book, discern what is true for you and discern what is not. Any book that I read or author or channel or anything, any person I talk about in any way, some of the stuff I resonate with, some of the stuff I don't. Okay? I take what feels true to me and I write more about it or I research more about it or whatever. I don't say just because, I'm reading this book that I believe everything in it or that I adhere to all of it. I discern. Okay. Part of our human makeup and who we were made to be like became recessive in us via a negative influence with the first sapient man that God completed. We were spiritually separated from our Creator in the Garden of Eden because of the metaphoric apple. The awareness of that disconnecting aspect was brought back to us over 2,000 years ago, and it was clearly explained how we could reconnect with what God's man originally lost. I don't really believe in that. Jesus was called the second Adam. Could it be that Christ was the reincarnation of Adam? And what happened at Calvary corrected that karma? Yeah, there's a lot of biblical stuff in here, huh? Okay, well, we'll get into the quantum stuff, hopefully. Okay. Bigfoots can either be good or bad, depending on who their creator was and their intent. Or if they're saying they're more like humans, then they probably have individual creation, individual life experiences. I don't disagree with something and sometimes don't talk about it. Those of you who know me probably know that. Sometimes I talk, too much, but and then I lose the entire plot. So if I have this big giant soul, okay? A part of this soul is in a butterfly, in a hummingbird, in a bear, in a tree. Okay, I could also be a Sasquatch. I could be incarnated as all kinds of different things. So every being has its own process of something that is their experience, whether it's a thought process or whatever their evolution to ascension is their process. It's not just haphazard necessarily decided by God, in my belief. the individual, whether it's a person or an animal, their individual process and experiences create their individual reality. That's what I believe. Okay. Many geologists from around the world agree that there was an earth-shattering event between 14,000 BC and 11,000 that changed everything, blah, blah, blah. But many Christians, me being one, were told that the earth is only 6,000 years old, but that's not true. They just found a billion reactor and anyway, they're finding all kinds of stuff. So I think that I'm not going to read all of this book to you. Okay, Bishop James Ussher, chronology of the biblical timeline of creation seems to be flawed. However, this has been the timeline most Christian religions have been using for centuries. Bishop Ussher also predicted the end of the earth was to be in November 1996. My suggested read isn't, well, maybe it did. We have a billion different dimensions. We are interdimensional. This is about interdimensional Bigfoot. Bigfoot, I mean. There's a portal in Big Fork, dude. Alright. Suggested reading, blah, blah, blah. We have some more scripture, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The biblical perspective is not aligning with me. Okay. Ruins at Punta, Bolivia. Big straight curves, especially the size. Okay, so that they're really giant. So the giant beings, giant steps. There's giant caves outside of Lubbock, Nevada. The Paiute Indians and their artifacts in the Winnemucca Museum. Been there. Been to some caves in the Winnemucca area. My 14-year-old cousin was like, "Oh, let's go have fun." How old was I? Mid-20s probably. He would crawl in these caves, so there'd be like just a small cave, and then it'd go, and then it would open up to the light, open up to the. Oh my god! It made me so like claustrophobic and feel weird. And then he didn't have a driver's license yet, but he had a truck, and I was driving it up in the mountains, what Nevada calls mountains, big giant hills. But some of them are pretty cliffy. And the brakes work sometimes, the brakes don't. So the brake wasn't working, and we're coming down this hill, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull the clutch. Why am I going to this story? I don't know. But I pulled the clutch and I had a trick that I was going to do to stop it. Otherwise, I had it ready for us both to jump out both sides because we were headed right over a cliff. And so then I popped the clutch or did whatever, and I avoided catastrophe. And that's on the way down from these caves outside of Winnemucca. So, just whatever. Just been there. That's all I'm saying. Okay, possible huge and ancient handprints found in the Lubbock Cave. After publicly announcing the find, soon after someone removed it. Who and why? Right, because they didn't want anyone to know about the Bigfoot. They have a before and after photo. I don't know if you can see it, but basically it's like, it's a giant handprint on the cave that people took, and then someone removed it later, so. Okay. Okay, so chapter 3. We skimmed over the biblical stuff because it's getting a little bit... Okay, so reported attributes. Vision, smell, speed, weight, glyphs, portals, tree knocks, what's real, what's knock, and what's pop, what's linguistic abilities, can they mind speak, can they disappear. They are interdimensional, they can use telepathy, this is what I'm getting. Many of these creatures seem to have unusual attributes that are associated with them. At least this has, besides all the hair and that they're big and interdimensional and like crazy, wonderfully high-pitched, no, okay, whatever. At least this has been part of several reports. Many of the mysteries are surely answerable using classical science. Oh, surely they are. One such as, how do they see so well in the dark? Because they're nocturnal. I guess I'm kind of sassy with this book tonight. How do they move so fast and effortlessly? Because they are interdimensional, they are quick. They could also like go one step and imagine 20. I mean, that's where we're headed. And like the movie Lucy, we can change our anatomy all the time. I mean, once our brain gets to that next level, once we get over this emotional body crap. Okay, eye shine and night vision. Bigfoot can see well in the dark because their eyes are bigger and can collect more starlight. and they're nocturnal. And they can see in 2 dimensions, and they can probably pick up heat. And okay, just read it, Crystal. Don't sass me. The eye light gathering power goes up with the square of the diameter, so a 10 millimeter pupil, a very reasonable size, would give Bigfoot 4 times the night vision capable of a normal human. Okay, Lawrence Lavelle. The most important night vision and adaptation seems to be the tapetum lucidum, or simply tapetum. The tapetum is a reflective layer behind the retina, which reflects light forward through the retina, providing the retina much more light on the second pass. So, you know, the reason I kind of chuckled at that big eye thing is because in the Pacific Northwest, where they mostly are sighted, the starlight, the sky not being foggy or misty, or, you know, having starlight to see at night, it doesn't seem plausible to me that they would genetically need that, because if they're hunting at night, if they're moving around at night, if it's part of their thing, they'd be like, oh, I can't go out tonight because there's not enough stars. I'm not buying it. No, I'm not buying it. Okay, but there's more. There is where the lensing structure is somewhat different. The remaining reflected light can then be transmuted out of the eye through the eye lens system as concentrated cone of light to further illuminate the scene in the center of the eye field of view. I mean, did they have an eye? This is speculation and hearsay. Providing even more light upon its return once more. This time concentrated in the central region of the retina. If you feel connected to the Bigfoot stuff, there's people who channel Bigfoot, or claim to, on YouTube. I've never really listened to it, but after what I experienced the other night, I have not felt presence in this building. I have not felt afraid. There's windows in the front, and there's it's pitch black in here. Like, it can go, like, you know, in the daytime. And so what I experienced when I was reading this book, with the candle flames jumping around and crackling, and I felt a presence, I didn't feel that it was dark or negative. I didn't feel scared, but I felt a purity of fear. So, meaning, I felt startled like I do, even if one of my guides or an angel or something beautiful appeared in front of me. I'd be like, oh, that, you know, even though I'm psychic, you know, that kind of stuff. So I felt like there was something here. And so I feel like these are important loving beings. I don't know how one would do this, but I just saw thousands of people that were suicidal, that were being abused, that were being all these things in their life, and the Bigfoots took them, like in the 411, to another dimension to remove them from their Earth experience. Because there was never a sign, it was never closed, there was never a sign they're eaten or they're mauled or they're none of that. And sometimes they would find the clothes of the adults. Because you can't travel through certain portals with clothes, because it's non-organic, it's chemical, has a different frequency, it can't go. And if you look at the Montauk experiment, oh my God, I feel so much love. In the Montauk experiments, where the Philadelphia experience, where the ship went into another dimension and come back. Okay, when the people come back, part of them were stuck in the ship. And during that time, there was experiments of time travel, interdimensional travel, where, like, people would not wake up, but they would just appear in a fountain or something, and so their feet would be in the cement. They'd end up losing their legs or weird things, and so they realized that they couldn't wear shoes. And it's funny, I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I know it's probably a basic logic thing that if you jump off of a ferry, which a lot of people do to kill themselves, I've read some incredible stories, I go on tangent after tangent after tangent, right, of people coming here. This one woman, I swear she was from Texas, and she was in her 70s, and her guy, her husband had died. She had her bags and she came here. And she got on the ferry to San Juan Island and she jumped halfway because that's where they'd met or whatever. Now, for whatever reason, people, I mean, the Seattle area, whatever, bodies might wash up and things, right? But there seemed to be at different times odd phenomena of the feet washing up. Okay, so people are like, oh, but that's because they're shoes and the fish don't eat the shoes and stuff. But sometimes they wouldn't have the shoes. And so, what is the point? Okay, interdimensional travel. Okay, in the Montauk experiments, that's what had happened. So the boot, they lost their feet, okay? So there is something to that in a lot of these 411 stories where they're finding the shoes in the forest or the clothes. And I was being shown that they were given a choice. The children were given an energetic choice. The children's ancestors chose to get them out of the situation they were in or the experience they were in, or they were hybrids and they were only to be here a certain amount of time and then they were moved to another reality. The adults were actually given a telepathic communication from the Bigfoot, from the forest, before they saw him, before they got startled. And they said yes. They wanted to go. What were they promised? I'm being shown they were promised something, that they could be healed of whatever their pain was. Maybe the guy, I'm flashing on one guy, one particular old guy that the Bigfoot in some of my stories that was missing like 30 years ago, just disappeared sitting there waiting for a hunting. I think it was a story I heard in the last couple weeks and I was flashing on that, and that he was given an opportunity telepathically from a being to leave the planet as he knows it, to go into another dimension and to be healed. And also that his wife would be there. So it's given to some people experimentally or pre-planned. And so they choose to leave the others in the old reality. So there's different reasons people leave, but they're not mauled, they're not harmed. The Bigfoot takes them, and then maybe sometimes there's a negotiation where they're like, no, this isn't the deal, or maybe you got the wrong kid or something like that. And so they'll find the kid 60, 70 miles away, farther than a kid could possibly go. And these are, I'm putting Bigfoot together with the 411 stories because they're so secretive. And the local police and stuff, they're all like really hush-hush about it. And the book talks about the 411 stuff too. If you're not familiar with that, check it out on YouTube. Obviously, I'm going to be working with the Bigfoot energy. Bigfoot, when the guy was given the choice in the forest, Bigfoot did not appear to him. Give him the choice. And then they're like, are you ready to see this being? And then he appeared. And then they went into the other dimension together. Whoa. Trippy. Okay. An eyewitness account watching a Bigfoot. 2008, what I witnessed at the 5 to 6 foot mark was a tale straight out of science fiction. In a head down posture, the bipedal closed the gap. I became aware that it may not have known I was there, and it no longer came directly at me, but paralleled my front as it noted the peanuts on the ground. Okay, and some of these Bigfoots are a version of the person they interact with in another dimension. So say I'm experiencing being a Bigfoot in another dimension, like an alien being, whatever they identify as, and it's me. So it's another version of me in another dimension. And some people experience that. They don't know that. I just saw that. At that very moment, and take what I say or leave it, right? Discern, discern, discern. At that very moment, a gradually intensifying set of small white, almost searchlight or spotlight quality cones of light illuminated the ground at its feet, emanating from its eyes, with its head down, as if it was concentrated on the peanut trail. At the 20 to 30 second count, the white cones of light dimmed out gradually, as suddenly as they came on. I was really nervous at this point because I no longer could be assured I was dealing with a variant Bigfoot, and to this day I'm not totally satisfied I was. But think the best explanation is the simplest one, which is yes, there's a variety with very unusual eye function. and it says www.bfro.net. Alright, cone cells, or cones, are one of 3 types of photoreceptor cells in the retina of the eye. They are responsible for color vision and function best in relatively bright light, as opposed to rod cells, which work better in dim light. Cone cells are densely packed in the fovea centralis, a 0.3 diameter rod-free area with very thin, densely packed cones, which quickly reduce in number toward the periphery of the retina. There are about 6 to 7 million cones in a human eye, and are most concentrated toward the macula. Okay. Cones are less sensitive to light than the rod cells in the retina, which support vision at low light levels, but allow the perception of color. They are also able to perceive finer details and more rapid change in an image, because their response time to stimuli are faster than that of rods. Cones are normally one of 3 types. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, because humans usually have 3 kinds of cones with different photospins, which have different responses and curves, and thus respond to variation in color in different ways. We have triomatic vision. Being colorblind can change this, and there have been some verified reports of people with 4 types of cones. Okay, so we're in New Earth. A lot of people are seeing new colors, new cones, new all that. So the guy's testimony almost sounded like some sort of flashlight eyes, going like this, right down at the peanuts. If Bigfoot was sending out eyes to look at things on the trail through some cones, and that's where they're getting this theory, our higher dimension version of ourselves, our more advanced version, we can send out a different frequency from our eyes on our intention on what we want to see. I've done it in the car. I'll look at something in the dark, my eyes closed, it's pitch black, and I will know where something is. Boom, boom, boom. It's almost like, it's a vision. You develop that extra sense out of need, really, because you're operating in the dark. And so if they're very much of an advanced being, they would almost have like maybe computer eyes, or like really may be some sort of I don't know what artificial intelligence is in other dimensions, but if they can project a light, like the Bigfoot I said I saw with the red eyes, it's almost like they can do what they want with their eyes. It's not necessarily the shape of the eyes. I think their eye theories are not really something I'm resonating with. Okay, so I'm going to skip the old eye thing. Okay, smell. Not to come across as trivial, but for a long time I did not know how to explain the difference between smell and smell. Sorry. No disrespect intended. Olfactory is an impressive word for how well something or someone can pick up scent. Not how bad or how good it smells, but how attuned their nose is to the environment. Bigfoot is a primate, and as a primate, his olfactory scent... I am being stopped, right? And I have this stuff coming through. Bigfoot is not a primate. Bigfoot is an interdimensional being of a higher dimension. We have bear, in higher dimensions, I can be anything I want. I can be a black man one day. I can be a Chinese girl another day. I can interdimensionally shift around the age of 30 to 45, right around 35 mostly. Any type of person I want, anywhere, in any kind of incarnation that I know or that I've been. I am a Bigfoot. I have an incarnation in that realm. Most of you probably do if you're listening in your star seeds. So somebody is telling me that they're not apes. They don't need to evolve to be more like us, like this posh thing. We need to evolve to be more like them. They chose all the hair because they came to this dimension, and that's what they chose for the elements in this dimension. Hello? You can't travel with clothes, even if their higher dimension had these super, I was going to say macho clothes, like this steel, okay. No matter how advanced the clothing gets in other realms or higher dimensions, they can't take the frequency of those clothes, whatever they are, on their body and come to this lower frequency dimension. In order to come into this dimension, they have to change their frequency. And so the hair allows them to be in this density, the fat, the everything. And they bring their language, which is a high intelligent language. We call them primates, and they got to evolve maybe to be us, but they're interdimensional, and they're speaking this language we don't get. And human nature seems to do that, you know, with like people from other countries. Oh yes, they're the brown people, and they speak Spanish. They're not as smart as me. They might speak 6 languages, but I speak English, and I'm a white girl, so you know, you got to advance to get to be my level. That's kind of what the Bigfoot energy is showing me. Anyhow, okay. How fast are they? Fast. Really fast. My first glimpse of one of these creatures was in the evening. Alright. Okay. I'll reread it. I'm going to switch that word. My first glimpse of one of these beings was the evening when I was recording an exchange that my friend and I were having with them at our Sierra camp. They're telling me that they are part of this guy's family in another dimension. They're actually related to him. And that's why they hung out like that. I'll meet him at some point, but this is all coming now, so whatever. Fast, they're really, really fast. Okay, the one I saw moved so rapidly through the woods without even a bubble at unbelievable speed. Okay, so remember I told you my father said that Bigfoot was running 30, 40 miles an hour. Okay, what I'm being shown is that that's because their time is sped up. It could be just like looping along, you know? Having a good time, just enjoying the day. Okay, I know you don't lope. Okay, but whatever. They could be walking through the forest at whatever speed they want, but our eyes see their movement as a different frequency. So we see it as vroom, okay? And so it's like, okay, well, if the car is going 30 miles an hour and they appear to be going 30, they're keeping up with it, but they might just have attached their energy. They attached their energy, okay, they set their marker on that vehicle and they just kind of went with it. If the vehicle was going 5 miles an hour or 100, they'd have kind of appeared to go with it. Something like that. Okay, the one I saw moved so rapidly through the woods without even a bobble at unbelievable speed. Since then, I've heard several accounts of how fast they run. Some reports have had them keeping up with their car at 50 miles an hour. A normal horse can run around 30, but race horses have went up to 44. So as unplausible as it may seem, I'm going to believe it. If they are as big as their footprints and strides suggest, their legs, at least the bigger ones, certainly have longer legs than many horses. I just flashed on BFG, you know, that movie. And his steps, I mean, man, he was moving fast, right? 'Cause every step would have been like a mile to a human step. Okay, associated sounds. Besides the rapid chattering among themselves heard by some humans, they will clack rocks together rhythmically. This is not just communication. This is music. This is primarily sending them home. This is recoding their frequency to a tone, and it's also a communication with their own frequency. They will do the same thing with wood on wood or tree knocks. Oh yes, yes. A lot of them, people are like, oh, that's a woodpecker. That's a pileated woodpecker in the forest. Like in Montana, when you hear this, but there's a deeper one sometimes, and you can't place what it is. Right? And it's this, it's these beings, and they're sending you a signal to your energy field that you'll pick up later in life. They're coding you somehow by this non-evasive, and it's there when you want it. This is so exciting. Yeah. I see ya. Okay. Shoot. I'm going to stop this video and start over with the sounds. I definitely have something here. I never thought about channeling.